I think it's important for me to try to create a brand for myself as a creator on this platform, and as my two most popular videos are the ones where I get overly emotional over things that no one really cares about, today I'll be talking about this. Why would you do this? Evan, I hear you say, you have gone too far. Why would you possibly want to make a 10-minute long video only talking about such an insignificant, pointless thing? Well, my friend, my secret is simply that I possess an extraordinarily high level of intelligence and talent, and a low level of sanity. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's first establish what a standard volume of manga looks like. And I don't think you can get any more standard than your typical Shonen Jump manga. These are about 200 pages and about 12.7 by 19.1 centimeter surface area. Overall, pretty nice, right? Wrong. These are terrible. Absolutely awful. They're way too tiny. I feel like I'd need a magnifying glass here. You can't even chop onions on this thing, so how the hell am I supposed to read it? Now, take a look at this volume of Pluto. Now this is a nice single volume of manga. What do you mean you don't see the difference? See, this volume has a surface area of 14.6 by 21 centimeters. Do I have to spell it out for you? No, I'm not crazy. Look! See what I mean? Big difference. From my extensive research on the topic, I found that for general manga single volumes, these are the two ballpark sizes you'll find. You have the standard Shonen Jump-sized volumes, often used for shonen or shoujo manga, and especially manga published by Viz or Dark Horse. And a lot of the time, you'll also find these to be slightly cheaper than their larger contemporaries. I don't hate these. If you gave me the choice of reading one of these small-sized manga volumes or watch my family get murdered in front of me, I'd probably manage to get through it. But I will say that whenever a manga that I look forward to is announced to be of this size, I feel like I lose something within me that I'll never get back. On the other side, we have the slightly bigger, and let's be honest, superior variety of manga. When it comes to single volumes, I usually find these being used for seinen manga. You know, for the big boys, with big boy hands. I don't know, to me it just feels better to have the art be larger. It makes it easier to appreciate the smaller details, you know? Also, if you've watched my video on manga cover art, then you know I appreciate consistency. And a lot of publishers make sure that the size stays the same across series, especially if they're made by the same author. There is something really satisfying about looking at Viz's Urasawa catalog and going, damn, you could land an airplane on top of these books. Look at that flat surface area. There is a flip side to this though, as one could argue that the consistency in design makes each series somewhat lacking in individual personality, but that is also largely due to the spine art being somewhat plain as well. And also, as a Scandinavian, I have long since abandoned my need for individual expression and accepted my place among the masses of society, so this suits me just fine. See how nice this Ineos Hana collection looks, with all the volumes being perfectly aligned, and then there's just Nijigahara holographs standing there like that one friend who has to dab in every photograph they're in, with no ability to read the room at all. No, Billy, it doesn't make you quirky or interesting, so why don't you just get a clue and conform like the rest of us? In Nijigahara Holograph's defense though, it is certainly big, and the paper quality is great. Fantagraphics doesn't publish a lot of manga, but when they do, they are almost always super high quality hardcover releases of these really niche series, which I really love. And speaking of which, hardcovers, they're like softcovers, but with an increase in attack power and defense. I personally love these. They feel so exclusive and nice. Don't they just make you want to bang your head against them? The quality does vary, as some have a real premium feel to them, while others are definitely more on the cheap side. Either way, I will pretty much always prefer a hardcover, not only for its feel, but also for how they pretty much don't wear down over time at all. But let's move on for now, as we're gonna talk about manga with As some of you may know, manga volumes generally come with a standardized page count of around 150 to 200 pages, often referred to as a tankobon volume. This rule isn't completely set in stone, as there is some variation in what's considered a single volume. These blocks of concrete are technically single volumes as well, and sometimes it's not even consistent across a single series. Looking at Dorohedoro is like looking through your Christmas photographs in chronological order, as they just get wider with each iteration until the last volume is literally twice the size of the first one. Of course, there is also the existence of omnibus volumes. These are the result of a publisher taking a couple of single volumes, slapping them together, and boom, new product. The most common variations are probably the 2-in-1s and 3-in-1s, but there are other alternatives as well, like Viz releasing JoJo's Fist of the North Star and Fullmetal Alchemist as 1.5-in-1s, or the Ping Pong omnibuses, which collects 2.5 regular volumes. Vertical managed to collect 10 volumes of Blam into 6 omnibus volumes. I still have no idea how they did that. And sometimes you'll run into a situation where they couldn't divide the volumes evenly, so you'll have the last volume looking slightly anorexic compared to the rest, as is the case with Goodnight Punpun's 13 volumes and Flowers of Evil's 11 volumes. Fucking primes, man. And then there is the final boss of omnibus volumes, the reading experience favoured by chads and mad lads across the globe. I'm of course talking about the Death Note 12-in-1. I can only laugh at how ridiculous this thing is. Just who came up with this? I know there are lots of people who are strong advocates of the single-volume master race, but I rather like omnibuses. Yes, the cover art is usually not great compared to the original, and I've already made a video talking about that, but the size is really nice. What can I say? I'd like to have something a little thick to hold in bed at night, and well, my options are rather limited, which is why I stick to collecting omnibus manga. But can you ever get too big? The Dark Horse Deluxe Editions. Coming in at 19 by 26 centimeters and weighing almost 2 kilograms, reading this thing is an actual workout. It's the Ring Fit adventure of manga. 2-in-1 omnibuses are kind of the sweet spot for me. They're called perfect editions for a reason. 3-in-1s like the Vizbigs are kind of pushing it for me in what I think is a comfortable reading experience, but this... Manga readers go to the gym with the goal of being able to read the Berserk Deluxe editions without pulling any muscles. I will say though that I still think this is the best way to read something like Berserk. The oversized art really lets you take in the insane detail in Miura's artwork, and honestly, you just feel powerful reading this. It feels like I should be standing up with the book on a podium in front of me like some ancient tome. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have the Gantz omnibuses. Remember at the beginning when I mentioned my distaste for the Shonen Jump standard-sized volumes? Well, Gantz is what you get when you take those same dimensions and just glue the 3 of them together. I'm sorry, but this just feels cheap, and I hate reading it. If the deluxe editions make you feel powerful, then this just radiates the energy of... And what's more, they have the gall to charge $25 for this. At least with this and their One Piece and Naruto omnibuses, which are pretty much the same thing, they know those are garbage, and they've priced them accordingly. And Dark Horse just keeps doing it! I Am a Hero, Lone Wolf and Cub, Elfen Lied, Gantz, all tiny, chubby, overpriced pieces of garbage! I'm sorry, I get emotional whenever I talk about Dark Horse omnibuses. Let's end the video on a happy note and talk about something that I like. Like when the format of the book is made special to match the theme of the story. I love how the hardcover volumes of Sunny are made with this rough texture that make them resemble sort of old-timey books that I would find at my grandmother's place. Or how the Berserk Deluxe editions are made to resemble Guts' sword in that they are too heavy for you to actually lift. That's great. Maybe, when I think about it, the Death Note All-in-One edition is actually brilliant, since just as the Death Note itself, I'm pretty sure you can use this thing to actually kill people with. I'm sorry, I just got this image of someone just walking down the street, chucking the Death Note All-in-One edition into people's heads, going, delete, delete, delete. Well, I thought it was funny. Anyway, at the end of the day, it all comes down to personal preference. I won't sit here and tell you what you should and shouldn't enjoy. If you like to read the Death Note All-in-One edition, I won't stop you. After all, it's not about the size, it's about how you use it. And Dark Horse Omnis do make for excellent firewood. I'll see you next time.